Well, welcome back, guys, to another show, another episode. Mark, how you feeling?
At least it's Jamaican.
Oh,
it's got a good drink.
Okay.
It's got a good drink.
He's, all right. No, it's on the beginning of the show. He's vibes in. All right, guys. So today, what I want to find out from you guys is UNI a scam? Do you think that...
Boris Johnson?
Do you think that a degree is necessary? Do you think that a degree is necessary nowadays? Like, let's just start from who here has a degree.
Yeah.
Like, I got a degree.
You got a degree.
I got a degree. You got a degree.
Everybody got a degree.
You don't.
I feel left out. I never graduated.
Okay.
Shit.
And it's amazing.
You started, you never finished.
I started twice. I never finished.
Oh, okay.
I dropped out of med school first, and then I enrolled into Kingston at King's College, and then I went to Kingston University to do media. And music,
interesting.
And music composition. I was like, this is shit. I left as well.
Fair enough.
And it's interesting because I love this topic, and it's actually like interesting because obviously you're a very successful man and you don't have a degree. So like, do you feel that obviously you kind of are an example of someone that doesn't necessarily need a degree to become successful? So can you just like elaborate that for us? In your perspective.
Talk about putting man on the spot.
I'm just saying because
for me, the way I felt about uni, like initially when I first went to uni to do medicine, obviously I wanted to be a doctor. I realized that's not the path that I wanted to take. I feel like, a degree is not essential to success. You don't need it. If you want to be a doctor, lawyer, all of that stuff, of course, go that route. But for me, the most important thing, it's not essential to finding yourself. In order to be successful in any field, finding yourself is the most important thing. And while everybody was at uni, I was using that space to find myself. And I was out there working in the field. Rather than studying media at university, I was actually working for a TV station. So I got first-hand training on the job, learning how to produce, learning about lighting, learning about sound, learning about all of that stuff. And so experience is the most important thing in my opinion.
I think you make a good point because I think at uni age we are still finding ourselves. So a lot of people go to uni,
18.
do this degree and then come out and do nothing to do with their degree. They actually go and do something else because we're still quite young, we're still quite unsure, but we just think we know. So it's a catch-22. I won't be upset if my children don't decide to go uni.
I feel the same way.
I'm just not bothered.
Do you think you were kind of pushed into it because of like culture and
100%.
Yeah.
That's what happens after college.
But remember, we're living in a different time as well. So in the time of our parents, degrees were important back then. To have a degree, you have a better job, you have better opportunities. But now, like, there's so many careers have now just expanded, opportunities have expanded. So hence why we now are free now to basically say, do we actually really need a degree?
Well, if you break it down,
apart from like you said, doctors and things that you actually need, professionals.
I feel like when you break down the reason you go to get a degree, it's an accumulation of information, right? You go to university to accumulate information. If you go online now, the average person who has access to a smartphone has access to more information than the President of the United States had 40 years ago. Do you understand? So we have information at our fingertips that do not require you to get a degree in order to acquire the information, which is what is essential to be able to succeed in any field. If you need to be able to acquire information, now you don't need to go to like, you think about it. I'm teaching my daughter about now homeschooling and all of that stuff during quarantine and all of that. I'm teaching her about Roman numerals and things like that because it's in the curriculum. Who has ever had to apply Roman numerals to life? Like, think about it. So the education system is archaic in terms of the information that is being delivered, and it is not practical in the field. Like, how do we navigate?
But don't you feel that the education system is purposely set up for people to stay at a certain standard and class in society? Because if they had to teach what we now have access to, hence why there's so much now middle class people are now actually becoming more working class, are becoming more middle class than ever before, because now we have access to, you're saying, information and so forth, where the education system is not set up for the poor to become richer. They want the poor to become poor and the rich to become rich. They want, like, you know what I mean? Like,
the purpose of education is not to be rich.
But
you know what I'm saying? So that's not.
But you get what I'm trying to say. But what I mean, not just rich, but just better quality of life, because you know.
I think the people who are putting these curriculums together they're not, number one, they're not younger people. So they're not people like us. They're there are people who are older, who are still, like, if you think about 100 years ago in a classroom, there were chairs, and there were chairs of 30 or 40 people and one teacher teaching kids. 100 years down the line, it's exactly still the same technique that is being, even though it is completely outdated and doesn't work anymore, right? So for me, I am not, in fact, I would prefer, like, I would want my child to come and tell me that she doesn't want to go to university. Because I would rather put that money.
But then it depends what she wants to be.
Yes, it depends on what
she wants to be a brain surgeon.
To be whatever
she can't be like, I ain't got
uni. But for me, I prefer for her to be whatever she wants to be. But the point is, it's about identifying what it is, which path you want to go in life. If you don't know what you want to do,
we're not just doing it for. That's what happens after college, and especially the price now. The price of it, you could actually maybe put a deposit on a house up north, but the price of how much it costs to go now for tuition fee.
Yo, that's wild. I only found out this past couple of weeks because I was doing some research. I didn't know it was that expensive. During my time, it was 3K.
Same.
9K was for like international students or something.
So you're starting life with debt. You're starting life with debt, and you pay that forever.
And it is the most crippling way to be able to start life. You know what I mean?
But then we say that's only really, we're talking about England. Like Scotland is free education. You know, if you go to different parts of Europe, it's free education. So
at university level.
University level, Scotland as well. So it's really us lot. You get what I mean?
I think it's a business.
It's definitely.
It's just a form of certificate to say that you have put the time in for 3 years to study this. So therefore that makes you accountable and credible to now go and practice this.
Even though that we're saying that degrees are not essentially important, it's still essential with loads of jobs still today. In order for you to get a job, you have to have a degree. So for example, working for the youth justice team, and I'll even give an example of what happened a year ago, for example, where we had a great manager, for example. We went for a restructure, and we had a manager who was within our team that had, that was just fantastic, great experience, but she didn't have a social worker degree. And so when the restructure happened, and they put new positions, she didn't qualify for the new position because they were looking for a qualified social worker.
And the qualification.
Do you understand? However, even though she's been in a job for donkey years and she's experienced, she knows her job, she's good at what she does, but because she didn't have the qualification for it, and this is what I'm saying, it's annoying because she has experience, she has the knowledge, but because she doesn't have the qualification,
she's been doing
and
it.
sometimes sometimes you don't even get paid because I've got a criminology degree, but there was one time where I had to put my foot down because obviously I'd done youth justice, so it's equivalent to, even though it's not basically registered as part of the youth justice degree, doesn't go under the same umbrella, which means that you're not a qualified youth worker, even though it's weird. I'm qualified to work with young offenders, but I'm not qualified to work with generic youth. Yeah. So basically, at one time they were trying to basically mess me up with my pay and say, oh, you can't get qualified pay because it's qualified, it is unqualified pay, and I was just like, excuse me, and someone basically they were trying to pay someone that had an NVQ level 3, so college qualification above me. So I had to literally, and then I got my money, but this is what they're trying to do within the system, and as much as we're basically saying yes, it's not as important, it's still the system that we're still living in. So how do we kind of overcome that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's a tough way. It's a tough route to navigate, but for me, I've always kind of been an advocate for putting the power in your own hands. For me, education is necessary, right? And when I say education is necessary, I don't necessarily mean the acquisition of a degree is necessary. Education can be acquired in many
in your field, the field you select.
Yeah, I without a doubt, every quarter do some course or some seminar or something.
Improve yourself.
So personal development is key, self-development is key, and that infiltrates every area of your life that you work in. But this ideology, as an employer, I'm always looking for somebody who is qualified with experience in a certain field than I am looking for a degree. I couldn't care too much for your degree because as much as it may sound bad, but I don't want to have to train too much from scratch. So you can come out of uni with a degree, but if you can't do the job,
exactly,
I'd rather take somebody who doesn't have a degree.
I think all your points are very valid, and I think they're very informative. I think another aspect we need to look at is the kind of structure that Europe are going in. So, for example, now that England has now left the EU, things will now change, especially with what's going on with the COVID-19. England will go back to its primal kind of setting, which was a working class, labouring kind of country. We had a lot of factories, we had a lot of like skilled workers, do you understand?
Right.
So I would classify myself as a skilled worker, not because necessarily I went to uni, because I went to uni, but it didn't help me to do anything.
You're good with your hands.
I'm good with my hands. So in uni I studied interior design and project management.
Okay.
Now, I didn't need to even do that.
Yeah.
Because all I needed to do was a NEBOSH and a project management Prince 2, which is what I've now got. Now, what did lack when I did that, I came out of uni, tried to look for a job. I worked for a specialist tiling company which finishes off, all these top chain hotels for like real estate. And I was working with these weird people that have been in their position for like 30, 40 years. I wasn't learning anything new, and my brain became mush. So then I kind of fell into engineering. One of my mates, kind of said, you're a skilled worker. I said, oh, come and do this. So I started at the very, very lowest level. Worked my way all the way up, but I didn't work my way up just because of talent. I worked my way up because of how the UK system had given me the tools and the skills on how to think. So everything has a process.
What you mean, the education?
Yeah, the education system. I can say the only thing I kind of took from it. Yeah, because I came with a 2-1. Didn't really do anything spectacular. I didn't feel like I achieved anything. I felt like it's not how you answer it, it's the way they want you to answer it. So, when I now, the only process that I came away with is everything has stages. I could say this is a dot right here, right? They want to understand, how did this dot become in existence, sorry, or how did this become? So you now have to go through stages to now explain it or annotate it to a way that it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to anybody else, but as long as you can prove that it makes sense, you've done your job. So I think the only thing that I've learned, and what a lot of people are learning now from degree level or whatever, is to kind of go through stages and go through a process. If that makes any sense.
The experience of it, yeah. I remember watching a documentary, How Did You Get So Rich? I can't remember what channel it was on.
Yeah, I love
that. I love watching things like that
because it's fucking up my speech, but yeah.
So many people, I think most people on there didn't go to uni, and I remember one guy saying, I think it was a guy, no, I don't know who it was, but anyway, one of them said that his only regret about leaving school at 15 was that he didn't leave sooner, because he left and he just built his business and now he's stinking rich. And I think things like that open your eyes to see that that isn't the only way, because a lot of them people on that documentary, How Did I Get So Rich, hadn't finished school, and he didn't even finish his secondary school, and he's now done so much more than what so many people can imagine.
I only encourage people to go to uni if you don't know what you want to do.
That's another thing.
Right? Yeah. If you don't know what you want to do, go to university so you are exposed to a plethora of options. But if you have some inkling, even the slightest of clarities, to be able to go and do something that you have an interest in, no matter how minute, pursue it and throw yourself at it. Because my younger brother, I guess I didn't set a good example for my younger brother by not going to uni, but because I didn't do it, he didn't go to uni either. And that has had a not so positive effect on him, because he's kind of just been waving in and out.
And that's another thing.
Only now, almost at now 28, he's now had to go back to uni to just go and do something.
But I think there's nothing wrong as well with that, because
I feel
like I would rather do that than waste money and go and have a degree with a degree that I don't know that I'm never going to use.
Because now he's clear on what he wants to do.
Exactly, because like you said, we was 18, we're still trying to find ourselves.
Yeah.
We're trying to find what's our purpose.
Do you get
what I mean? So it's like, so sometimes we just feel like, okay, maybe this is, to be honest with you, I did law and criminology my first year because only African lawyer. So, but then I dropped off my second year. I dropped law and I carried on criminology as a single honours, and then majored in youth justice. But anyways, but sorry, I forgot my trail of thought. But go on, carry on.
I think from a very young age, all we're taught is, well, especially in the UK, is school. We spend a lot of our lives in school. We're not actually taught how to, you know, express ourselves and explore. And I think it's very, very important, you know, especially with how America does it kind of different. Scotland does it kind of different as well, where they allow you to express yourself, but you have to have some form of education. There is a lot more opportunity and there's a lot more choice. Whereas only now where, you know...
What do you mean in America?
Okay.
Like sports and stuff like that.
For example, let's just... Yeah, exactly. Sports, for example.
Right.
When I was at the age of... I think I went to St. Charles Sixth Form College. Now, I wanted to... So I wanted to play football, like proper football, but I was doing a sports science and a physio kind of...
Yeah, that's what my brother's doing now,
and then... Obviously, in order to play football, they were giving up 2 scholarships. So, for example, you were a scholarship opportunity, but I had it from like American investor. Right. So I think it was DC and Maryland.
Got it.
Right? Or Columbia, something. It was one of them weird places. But in order for me to get to that level, I had to choose a form of education that I wanted to go through, not just to follow it through, but just to get like a score pointing system.
Sure.
Now, with America, their education isn't better, but they have more of an opportunity.
Yes, I agree.
You understand?
I hear that. Yes.
So I think with the UK, I think now it's only now that they are trying to, I don't know, grow
implement
the opportunities.
Some of those.
Because my obviously my daughter is 8 now. She'll be going to secondary school soon, and some of the good schools that we want her to go into, they look for an extracurricular skill that you bring. So, you know, she's now tried her with the piano and violin.
Swimming is another one.
She didn't do it, so now just got a guitar, and let's hopefully that guitar is going to, you know, something. But they do, it helps when you bring an extracurricular activity.
I think we always have had that in school, though.
Extracurricular. You have music class, whatever.
I think only since having my kids, in private school as well, I've learned the importance of starting them with something like that now through the other mums, because she was like, if you want to go to this school, do you know if they get to a certain grade of swimming, they can get a scholarship? Like, and I'm just learning, and I'm like, wow, scholarships already come with. So you've got to start them young, and you know, all of that I would never have known if I didn't go to.
And also, kind of in America as well, you've got to remember a lot of the education system there is funded. You got independent people. It's private. None of it's like here, you know. Public. So, you know, like I said, introducing this whole thing of having an extracurriculum is because they look for potential opportunities. So people like Justin Timberlake, you know, Britney Spears, all these people, they started from a very, very young age, but they were multifaceted. So, like over here we have the Brits. I mean, I went to the Brits for like 1 semester and I literally just kicked out.
What did you go to the Brits for?
Creative writing.
Okay.
Do you understand? So, like, it was one of those situations where these are things that, although they're trying to imply it over here, they got no form of structure on how to do it properly. Hence why a lot of people go to uni and follow a certain system, but don't really know what they want to do because it's kind of like, well, there's not much opportunity.
There's not much options, exactly. Because even, like, for example, now at my age, I'm going back to uni to go and do my master's degree only because now I'm more, I worked for, you know, with youth services for so long, and now I'm really intrigued in mental health. Mental health is but still amongst young people, but mental health is something that's become really, you know, close in my heart because obviously we're still evolving. We become passionate about different things and so forth. And I had no idea that there was something called like drama therapists, for example. Like back then, and then when I was like 18, drama therapist, what's that? Art therapy? You don't know about, because I'm a creative, obviously, as you guys know, so I do acting and so forth. So combining two of my passions together is like a dream, but I never had that opportunity. That was never introduced back then.
So let me ask this then to all of you actually. Considering where you are now at your age and the career paths that you have chosen, if you had to do this journey all over again, what would you have? Would you have chosen the same path, or would you have chosen?
I personally believe I wouldn't have gone to uni.
Yeah.
But what would you have done?
Because okay, cool. So I have this theory, and my dad has this theory that let's just call it higher intervention. Yeah, that you will always have your thing of, like, you always have your choices and you always believe where you want to be and is what God has planned for you. So I remember all my life I've always been trying to push this way, but I feel like over the years, he's always been nudging me. Like I've always had this sense of like, let me just bring it back to myself. Construction, you know, interior, all of that. I've always had that eye for it. It comes as a second nature to me. But I've always been like, nah, fuck that. I want to become footballer. I want to be doing this. I want to be doing that. So I push, but then it flops, and then it goes back to this. I'm like, no, like, do you understand? But what I realized is that even when I did my degree and stuff like that, that it maybe wasn't my calling in that field, but it was easy for me to just do, I'll do this, do that, structural change, do this, do that. It was easy, but I just didn't appreciate it. So if I could go back and do things again, what I would have done is find out what I really like. Maybe, you know, I had a choice to go to a City and Guild, is what we call a qualification. City and Guild qualified to do plumbing, you know, construction, you know, landscape and stuff. But I didn't deem it as cool because I wanted to go to the Brunels. I wanted to go to the Leicesters, the Montforts, because that's where everyone was partying. And I didn't want to wear the
Brunel was the one.
It was the one I used to hear about it, and I went to.
Did you go there? To the parties?
Did you get to Brunel?
Listen,
You just go into the parties, not even a party.
Listen,
Baby, welcome to the party.
The Montfort, it was the Montforts, it was the Kingstons, it was the Brunels. But I went to a UAL, University of the Arts, where everybody was planted. I stayed on campus, whatever. And I didn't want to go to a college also that I had to wear my combats, come out with pain, be collecting EMA, and it wasn't seen as, it wasn't deemed as cool.
I got that EMA money, boy.
Yeah, so it was like, when I think about it now, like, it was a lot more pushed because of my peers and more than my parents. I could have told my parents I'm not going uni. But because my boys were like, yo, bro, we're going to go here, we're going to do, you know, the coloured bus, we're going to go to the traffic party. So I'm thinking, what can I go to uni to study?
It's crazy.
You know, like, I'm not good at English.
I broke up with my girlfriend at the time
Very
because of that. This girl was saying when I was in college, we all planned to, her parents were quite strict. So this girl, we planned that, all right, cool, we'll go to De Montfort together, De Montfort University, away from where her parents could reach and whatever, and then we'll live our lives. And obviously,
Let's be free.
let's be free.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was part of my
literally,
reason for uni.
right.
And
then
then your way independence.
I obviously blocked that idea from happening because I didn't proceed and go through with it. But I think for me, the most important things, a lot of people at that age, you're looking for your degree as opposed to be focusing on
what is your
on finding something that makes you tick, on finding something that fills you with purpose. I feel like that was the difference with me because I didn't know where it was going to lead, but it excited me. I was passionate about it. I was willing to put everything on the line for it, and I think that's what makes a difference in absolutely everything. And it doesn't matter which stage of life you're in, because I speak to a lot of people who have had degrees, and are in jobs now that are well paid. And the more, you know, the more money you get paid for doing what you're doing now, the more comfortable you become and the more difficult it becomes for you to make the change into something that you really love. But for me, my one formula is if you love something, go after it 100%. I don't do 50-50, find plan B. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't give myself the opportunity of having a plan B. This had to work.
Yeah, that's it.
I agree with you. Everything you say up until go with it full-handedly, because, you know, there's circumstances that
everyone's circumstances are different.
Mess you up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
if you're doing sports, for example, the chances of an injury
to be
being
fair,
at the end of career is so I get that.
Of course, I'll be very honest with
that,
you. Exactly. No, I hear what you're saying, and I do believe that, but I'll be very honest with you. Like, it was my every intention to be a sportsman. You know, I was good at football, good at rugby. My brother's a pro rugby player. Do you understand? And he does now, because of injury, he's now a full-time electrician. Now, that was my dream. I gave heaven enough. I would leave home. I've traveled. I've been to places that are unspeakable. I've been in circumstances that are unspeakable. But it's you can put all that energy into it, and then what next?
I think this is the thing. It's about. So I always say your destination doesn't necessarily have to change, but your pathway to getting there should be flexible.
Adjustable, yeah.
It should be adjustable, right? So yes, you wanted to be a sportsman. So did my younger brother. Used to play football, and in fact, oh shit, I think he's got surgery today.
He's got surgery.
Yeah, on his knee. So he's this was his thing. So those kind of things, there's a possibility of injury that could put a halt to your dreams, which I completely appreciate.
So therefore you need to back it up, innit?
So you need to back it up, but you can still back it up in the same field. So for me, growing up, it's gonna make you laugh. I actually thought I was gonna be an R&B singer. I thought I was gonna be out here making music. This was my thing. I put my all into from very early. I learned to play musical instruments. I thought I could sing until I was about 16. I was like, this ain't gonna run.
You could have become a writer. You could have become a writer.
So that's what I then went into. I went into artist management. So I went into artist management, had a couple of top 10 hits in the UK with artist management, and then I started doing that and TV at the same time. And I was like, one was paying me 25%, the other was paying me 100%. I made the transition.
That's good, Jim. It's good.
And this is what I was saying in terms of the it's a
The journey, yeah.
It's a journey.
So be
because
flexible with the
exactly. Because the thing is, I wouldn't change personally anything because I'm in a career that I chose to be in.
Sure.
What's happened now is when you are within a career and working within a system, you start learning a few things. You start thinking, I don't really like the way they do things and the system how the system is set up, because I don't feel that is really doing justice to the outcomes of what we're trying to reach. And then as you're developing as a person as well, remember your purpose and passion. You know, sometimes if you can't find your purpose, you find your passion.
Yes. So passion will throw you right into
exactly.
Your
so it's just like, you know, as you're growing, that's what I'm saying, you can then change. You can be like, you know what, I've really gained this new passion for, and then you, like you said, you kind of divert, you know, into different.
It evolves.
Exactly.
I think another aspect you have to look at is. Oh, sorry. No, go on.
I was going to say, I can relate definitely, because after sixth form, I went to sixth form. Then I decided I'm just going to take a year out and be wild and reckless. And my mum was like, do you know what? If you ain't going to be paying any bills, you need to come out. And then I was like, if I go to uni, she would rate me more. So I thought, I'm just going to go to uni to look like I'm doing something good. So I was one of them last minute applications. I just did it in like the end of I did a UCAS at the end of August just to get in.
Oh my god!
But I did media performance. I wanted to be a presenter, and so I did my media performance. And the thing is, it did help me because I did all the classes, but I didn't understand. I hated the theory. Practical,
Formula.
Why are we doing a theory on all these things? I was so annoyed by it that I didn't really do that well. But I remember when I left uni, someone was starting up an online TV station, and they were like, oh, we're looking for a camera person. And because of the degree I did, I covered everything. I knew so little, but I was able to give this spiel. Yeah, I use a Sony 1610. And they had no clue. So they looked at me like, my G, So I used all that uni spiel. I did. And that's how I got my first online job. And I remember after that, I thought, I still want to be a presenter. And MTV did this whole big Universal looking for a presenter.
I did that too.
So I put myself on tape and I got an audition and I thought, oh my God.
That's where I met like Ricky,
you
Melvin,
might even have been there the same day. So I remember going to this audition, and after the first round, some people were like nearly in tears of how bad they did, because they gave us this improv. You're meant to be here, you're meant to be saying these are the points, and you had like 5 minutes to prep. I smashed it. I remember sitting down in my group and people were like, oh my God, I did so bad. And I just kept quiet because I thought, I smashed it. I didn't stutter. Who went home? Some of the people were nearly crying were still sitting there, and I went home and I thought, and then that's when my eyes opened to realise if you haven't got the look or they don't want your look, it doesn't matter how qualified, how good you were, they weren't going to be choosing you. So therefore I was able to then go back onto the fact that I could now do editing. So I blagged my way into editing, knew very little, but then I started off saying, I can do editing, and just learned along the way, like you said, just learning and doing.
Absolutely.
I became head editor, and I was now employing people for this online station to do editing. So I just knew from that experience that I needed to have something where it doesn't matter about my skin colour, if I'm black girl, if I've got dreads, I needed to have that skill.
I like the way you lot are going, but I think the other aspect is you lot stayed within that field, all three of you
luckily,
stayed within that field, luckily. But then you also have to think about the mental scarring. Do you understand? I've been in places. I remember at the age of, I think it was just when I turned 18, I went to Borussia Dortmund. I had trials for them, went 6 weeks there, stayed there, thought I was going to have a fantastic time, went to tournaments, did all of that. been told I wasn't good enough, come back next year. Came back to London, started playing for Carl Shorten, all these budget teams. My agent was taking me everywhere. Now my agent represents some of my ex-agent, who was my friend, and his family represent some of the top footballers. So going through that kind of mental rejection, I'm not gonna lie. As good as I'm not gonna say I was the best, I was half decent. I had all the attributes to make it, right? I didn't have a footballing brain, but I had the physicality, I had the pace, the strength, and the know-how. So kind of love the craftsmanship, as they call it.
To flag it.
You know, I played a decent level, Millwall. I went from Millwall. Yeah, I went from Millwall. My cousins are pro, Kelvin Atuhu, Dixon Atuhu, international people. So I had all the right formulas around me. But when it came to my own personal journey, I was scarred.
Yeah, same.
And therefore, I didn't want to have a reminder of being in that area. So I completely shut that door.
Yeah.
You lot consistently, accepted it like, I might not be good in this area.
No, but it hurt me at the time, not gonna lie.
But
I remember I'm an actor, so this is part of
every day.
I don't think I was strong enough to deal with it.
So going back to education, this is what I would like for education to be more about. Teaching of the attributes that are required to be able to make it in life: tenacity, perseverance,
test of mettle.
Because these are the only elements that you require to be able to succeed.
Yep.
Because people walked away from that MTV experience broken.
Yep.
I walked away from that MTV experience and I'm like, I'm gonna make my own damn show.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go for and that's exactly what I did. So after that, I did not audition for another person's show. I found a way, same way, went through the back door into the TV station as a camera, as a, part of the production crew. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to create a show where I'm the producer, I'm the presenter, I'm the talent booker, I'm everything, and I'm going to bring all of these people. And that was my start. So for me, these are the things I feel that education needs to be about. It's teaching about the mental tenacity that is required. Because a lot of people go out there into the world expecting for things to work out just like that. And it doesn't matter whether it's sports, entertainment, or whichever field you choose to go into, there will be setbacks. It is part of the journey. For me, this is when I teach, I kind of always say that, look at it like this. It's like, if you start hearing no's, right? If I could forecast and I could tell you that, listen, when you go for these opportunities, you're going to hear 49 no's, and then you're going to hear your 50th yes. If you have that number in mind, you're going to be hopeful and want to get through the 49 as quickly as you can without losing faith. In fact, you want to get through them as quickly. You want to get through 10 a day so that you can get to the next yes.
The law of numbers.
Yeah. So for me, that's how I approach life. If somebody tells me no, it just tells me that I am much closer to a yes.
It happens in different times though, because I think most of the time we look at someone else's journey, we're like, but they got the 50th yes within a month.
Right.
Some people are still grinding out for like
hard grinding.
100.
Yes.
So I think that's also important.
And
especially in the Instagram world, like we're just seeing everyone winning, or social media. Like,
but just because you're growing followers doesn't even mean you're winning. You know what I'm saying?
True, but even the people who are at the very top without any followers, who have made it, like artists and stuff, it's like they've had to go through so many things, and falling off, being broke, going to shows, and they couldn't even pay for their transport.
But they don't display that on social media.
Do you know what's important that what you're saying? I want to touch on both of what you're saying. It's all about learning, right, and how badly you want it. But it's also about understanding that maybe your calling isn't the same as others. For example, like I said, I'll link it to yours and I'll link it to yours. I grinded for time. Do you understand? And now, as a result of it, I still have love for sport. Do you understand? I still dream and aspire to open up my sports facility. But then what I started doing was coaching little kids and using the connections that I had. Do you understand? And it was easy to me. I'll be like, you know what? This kid wasn't performing. I spent one-to-one, and this is why I think mentorship is very important. I don't think there's enough mentors. Now, I mentored this little kid. I didn't even see it as mentoring. I just saw it as I was helping out. It was someone like yourself who would, or one of my mates who said, you actually mentored this boy to get where he is. I took this young kid, very talented, wasn't performing well, daddy issues, whatever, wasn't in his life. I came in, called a couple of people. I didn't think anything of it.
Edit off the name, guys.
Yeah, anything of it. He went from a Tottenham academy, he started having trials. He's deemed as the next best thing. So my failure, I mean, it was a bittersweet. You know, my failure was like, raw, I could have made it, but I didn't make it. But this kid is learning everything I've learned. I'm teaching him samba. I'm doing things with him that he doesn't do. And he's built up confidence, taking my struggle, my sweat, you know what I'm saying? And he's now taking this on with the brain, you know, footballing brain and the know-how, and he's performing and he's banging in goals.
Yeah, bless you for that,
stuff.
man. Because even I've tried to look for a mentor before, and I thought I found one, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do. She's like, so okay, so what's your plan, darling? I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do a YouTube channel, and on my channel I'm gonna talk about dreads and hair because that's what I know about, and blah blah blah. Oh no, honey, Davina McCall never started like that. She never started, and Holly Willoughby never started with the law. And I'm like, straight away.
They didn't start in 2020.
She started. Thank you. This is my point. So you need to be very careful who you're looking. Because I thought this is my mentor. This is it. When she said that, I kind of. But that's luckily because I had that vim within myself. Because easily I could have listened to her and said, "Oh, she said not to do it. So let me not do a YouTube channel about dreads and so on and such forth because she said not to do it." So there is a deep inner passion that needs to still prevail because sometimes your mentors will be like, and you actually have to be like, no, I don't care. Yeah, this is my passion.
Well,
I'm going.
self-confidence and self-assurance is the most
Yes.
essential.
Yes.
It is the most, for me, any form of education. This is why I make it, and I'm sure I've sent you many links or stuff to conferences as well. For me, the most important form of education is self-development. It is developing your tenacity, developing the confidence within yourself, developing that, you know what, to the point where you believe in your ideas, that if I trust this, I am going to go through with this. Because ultimately, anybody who ever became anything has this assured. I could tell. It's crazy because last night before I went to sleep, I saw this. Let me read this DM that just came in from this guy I haven't seen since college, and it's crazy because when we were in college, and I didn't go to uni, and all these men went off to uni. They were like, oh, this guy is just wasting his life.
Wasting his talent.
And as time has gone on, they're starting to come out the woodworks bit by bit. This guy sent me a message yesterday at 11:02. He's like, it's been several years since college, and I've got to say, the progression has been real. He was like, I've been following you for a while. I felt ashamed, so I didn't want to approach you. But I've got to say, I am inspired. I would love to chat more with you, bro. But for me, the only reason that it matters, and when these guys came out of uni and started getting their first jobs, had their little car and doing that, man was
hustling.
I still couldn't afford to buy a train ticket from Oxford Circus to Croydon. Do you understand?
I can relate.
Because I was putting in, and at this point, the fruits of my labour were not on the surface.
They hadn't ripened yet.
They hadn't ripened yet, but for all of those years that I was putting in the work, there were all these roots that were building up and that were just firming up. My foundation was being built. And now, it really, it couldn't matter what happened or what came my way. I have such a foundation that can carry me through anything.
100%.
And when you know,
That's what we call the test of metal.
When you know that within yourself, it always comes through because there's other jobs I've tried to do. I've tried to do 9-to-5 jobs. I've tried to, all right, let me just have a steady income. And I swear, I last like 3 months. I'm like, I'm so over this. I end up bouncing straight back to the same thing that I wanted to do. And also, there's other things like with this other mentor that I had. I was like, I want to be on radio. Like last year, I was like, next year, I want to be on radio. That's it. That's what I want to do. I want to try that out. And they were like, oh, so you should look for only local stuff. Look for a small job. Try and get into your local radio station. And I thought, no, I want to be BBC. I want to go in at that level. And last week, I got the opportunity. And it's things like that. When you manifest and when you just know your self-worth, don't let anybody come to dictate where you should start and build up. Because I got a residency last week and they called me on the day that I needed to start. And I was just like,
come on.
I made it. But this is many years later. I've been doing this since university. But when your passion is there and your craft is there and it shines through, it's like no matter what, I had to keep coming back to this thing. So I'm just like, this thing will
Seeking
breed.
validation is like it's death.
It's the
us.
quickest way to ruin your life.
I love the fact that you guys are all saying this. And you said what I wanted to say with this. I
sorry.
feel like I'm just echoing.
No, go echo.
No, but it's true because
I feel like this is probably the most favourite episode we've ever done.
Yeah.
Because I love talking about this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
it suits you, innit?
So look at me.
Where's your glasses?
We are shining.
Look at me now.
We are
guys.
shining.
But it's
Subject
very-
is,
it's very,
you know, there's shining the golden goose. You know, that's my
Let's
God.
go there.
it's very true because I feel like even as an actor, for example, which like it's rejection
After
90%
rejection,
more
yeah.
time than anything else. And I'll say two things as well. I think in one hand, we wait for people to give us opportunities and we seek validation because I know someone was like, I can't really see you playing this role. I see it's almost like then you kind of put that in your mind because they're in a certain position and they are
You think they're qualified to dictate what your destiny is.
My destiny
You must be
exactly
crazy.
is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as much as that's crazy, it happens all the time.
100%.
And then it's like,
100%.
even like, oh, Ari, you know. So for me, it's like, don't get me wrong. I love constructive criticism because I'm trying to better
Of
myself
course.
as someone that's completely different. I knew a girl that had no experience, for example, she's a writer, but she had no experience doing short films, for example. But because she believed so much in her writing, she just said, you know what, let me just create my own short film. And the funny thing is, she hired me as an actress. And when we was in the actual short film, I took leadership. I naturally was taking leadership because I knew so much more than the person that's actually trying to do things. And I'm giving her advice. I'm saying, I'm there coaching actors. I'm there making sure the cameras, you know, all of these things. Have you done this? And then in my head, I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Like sometimes we feel like we really don't really believe in ourselves like that. And people are doing things, you know, just because they believe in themselves.
This
they're just
is
doing
it.
You know,
things
there's this quote that I absolutely love, and that is, you are more talented than some of the people who are out there living their dreams.
Yeah.
You the gifted person, you're sitting there, sitting on your tush, doubting yourself, when there are people less talented than you who are out there trying to do
Or
it.
there's the saying, hard work beats talent.
Bruh, all day long. Because for me, I have never considered myself to be a talented person. I can't pinpoint anything.
Sure?
I can't pinpoint anything that I am very talented, that I'm excessively. What?
That was very uncomfortable.
that confession.
Like, what was like
I've never pinpointed any particular thing that I am really excessively good at. All I am is, you can't tell me to stop. Like, you ain't gonna tell me shit. I'm gonna do it until.
Another thing I've heard is also work on your craft because the money will come. When your craft is undoubtable, like people can see it from left, right, centre, the money will come naturally.
One thing I love about you as well, and people like yourself.
Some self-love.
No. I love about because do you understand? A lot of people that become successful don't like to share how they became successful. So you're someone that basically would inspire someone else. Be like, Ariette, this is what. You know, like women helping other women because we automatically feel that there's not enough space. There's not enough food up there for everyone to eat. There's so much food, but it's like we don't feel like we can teach because we feel like we don't lose nothing. The thing is, you helping me, you're not losing nothing because you're still succeeding. You're still doing what you're doing. But I don't know why people feel sometimes a type of way. If I help you, then it's taken away from you.
It's an
insecurity.
And that's all it is.
To realise,
I
was about to say, we're all unique. There's only one LELA, there's only one ARIETE, there's only one MARC.
So let me ask this question to all of you then.
Yeah.
What is more important to you in your pursuit? What wakes you up in the morning? Is it the acquisition of wealth, or is it purpose?
Passion.
100%.
You want to do something that you love doing. I could have been right now. Like this, I'm an example. I could have been. I'm not trying to. I never took my own. Like I could have been like management in a work field that I like, top manager in the work field that I work, because I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be managing. I know, like the money, there's a lot more money up there, you know, in terms of managing people. So you don't do. But I'm so in love with the direct work and actually being out there in the fields and making those changes in that way that that's my passion, that's my baby. But it stopped me in a way from gaining more money, because if I wanted money, like I would have been there. Hence why I said, okay, let me do stuff.
I think balance is important.
Yeah, I get you. Hence why, you know, the direction I'm going now is a bit different, because I feel like now what I'm doing is everything. Do you understand? Like, anyways.
I think,
But then,
I was
don't
gonna
you guys think, like, we can actually create.
But your passion might get money, though.
Create,
But your passion might get
you know,
the money.
It
you
usually
can do
does.
anything
Yeah.
that you want, because someone that created that company,
They started
did
where
that,
you
but
were,
we
yeah.
never think that we can do the same.
I think,
we always
yeah.
think, no, we have to go by how it is in the book. You know, we may have like these amazing ideas that may just make, you know, everything just kind of blow up and go.
What-
You know, be
Yeah.
creative, but we always think like, oh no, but they didn't do it like this, so we have to do it
This
like
is
that.
exactly where it comes back to what happened with me. I think what drives me every day is to realise that sometimes people are watching you, you don't know they're watching
This
you.
is it.
And that's what gives me passion sometimes, because I've done little projects or ideas, for example, on social media, and then I've fallen off, you know, inconsistency.
Yeah.
And then somebody who you would never think was watching it would come and say, Terry, what happened to that little show you did on
True.
da-da-da-da-da-da?
Yeah.
And then
True.
that gives me the drive to realise, you know what, someone might be
Very
watching
true.
me,
Yeah.
you know.
Right,
A little black girl might be out there watching
Yes.
me with
Yeah.
her dreads thinking, I
Exactly.
didn't know I could be on that with my look and my,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's what drives me sometimes.
Yeah.
And obviously my own children as well. I just want them to see, look, mummy could do this and
Yes.
do that at whatever age it may
Yes.
be. Because
Yes.
of course I would love to be more established, but this is my path and this is my journey, and I believe it's for a purpose.
Amen.
So I think that drives me day by day. Just know that somebody may be watching me and be inspired by me, and I want to be consistent.
Somebody is.
Someone
They are.
is. Someone
Even
is.
like an
They are.
opportunity can come for you that you may not even realise. Like, for example, what I'm doing now, like obviously these female retreats and stuff. Like,
Yeah, love it.
I wanted to
absolutely
do.
love it.
You
yeah,
should
like,
be there. You missed out.
Yeah.
But there's more to come. But
Yeah. So I've always had a vision, like even when I was probably like around 19, and I've written these things out, like you know, and there was people that I was trying to pursue it with, and it would never work. Like, and I'm just like, okay, so I left it alone, and then like you know, literally last year, the end of last year, like you know, my business partner now. She messaged me, she was like, I've got this idea, let's work together. I had never even met her, like we literally just started talking, but she could see what I was doing for our social media. She's like, I've been following you for years, and I had never even acknowledged her. And then from one day, from that, and then to now me doing these retreats, and I wrote this down, I wanted to do
It's
it.
only
like,
gonna get bigger as well.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
fills
yeah,
my
100%.
heart when I do stuff like that, you know, and it just showed up in a different form with someone completely different. I didn't even
so many years later, you
Right.
should be proud.
Would you have needed a degree for that?
And like Terry said, the money
Right.
would eventually
Right.
come.
The money,
yeah.
So would you have
Naturally
needed?
anyways.
You wouldn't have needed a degree for that. It's because
Yeah.
of your life
Right.
experiences,
This is what
because of the
I'm saying.
skills, the passion you have,
But it's
which
weird
starts with
because
yourself, right?
I did
Yeah.
events management and marketing, but
really?
what I'm doing now, like social media,
Everything.
these events, these retreats, everything is still like it's still underlying.
I feel like, you know, there is something so beautiful about the way life comes together.
Right.
You know, whether you went to uni or not, whatever it is, like sometimes you get to a certain stage in your life and you realize that, oh shoot, like everything I have actually acquired, every skill I have acquired has now accumulated to this point where
you are.
it is actually I am using all of it in this new pursuit.
Yeah.
You know,
Detours that we're talking about.
like I took a detour many years ago and I went and worked in Phones for You. You know what I mean? I went, and do you know what? I enjoyed working with Phones for You. That's where I met Aston Marigold from JLS.
JLS, yeah.
I was his manager in the Croydon branch, and then I went to Kingston, and about 4 or 5 years later, when I started my company, the sales skills that I had learned from that was
Transferable skills.
It is what carried me.
Transferable skills is massive.
It is literally what carried me because I was not afraid of cold calling.
Yes.
And so I had to. So whatever it is that you have acquired along the way, it has a magical formula.
Yeah,
it's all coming together
100%.
to help you fulfill
Yeah.
yourself.
I think we need to probably we
on.
need to probably teach the entrepreneurship, because each and every one of us has shown that in some way, in some form. Do you understand? Life skills are important. Transferable skills are important. We've all demonstrated reasons and how we've got to where we are now. Do you understand? The journey still continues.
Absolutely.
But I mean, we're talking about education. Let's stick on that. I don't think that they promote that enough to be yourself.
Not formally. Not formally.
And
I feel like
it should be encouraged.
I think what people need to expose themselves to is other informal sources of education, because there are many educational platforms out there.
100%.
Loads.
Brand development.
Where you can go and learn all of these
like,
different
when
things.
I was at uni, there were all these like leadership courses, you know, and it's weird because I was always like, I wanted to do stuff like that, but because my friends weren't doing it,
you didn't want to do it.
It wasn't
never
cool.
talk about it.
It wasn't
It was weird because when I was done, like they gave us a choice to do these courses outside of that, and I actually just went and did it by myself. I did quite a few of them, and I was never aware that it was there. It actually just, my teacher one day was like, okay, there's this going on, do you want to do it? And I was like, I didn't want to say no, but then I was like, I just done it because I was pushed to it. But when I did it, I left there being like a complete different person. You know, and then afterwards I could go back to my friends and be like, oh, you should actually try this. And even then they were still like, nah, that's not for me. And today these are the same people that are now like trying to do the same things that do you see what I'm saying?
Even during COVID.
I feel like one thing that we also have to also take accountability on every day is discipline. I have to always remind myself, because did you really apply yourself every single day to what you want to do? Even if it's an hour, if it's 1 hour of the day that you did to go to, you know, to reach your goal, or to reach where have you done something? More time when you ask yourself that question, it's a no. So really, whatever you put into whatever you want to do is what you're going to get out. And you always have to say discipline. And that's such a massive thing. There's a note to self that I have to always remind myself.
I think that word is so underrated, but it's so important.
It's because Michael, we don't like pain. Discipline
requires sacrifice,
right? Discipline inflicts sacrifice, right? And we are a generation that does not like or appreciate pain.
We want everything now.
We want everything now without having to
flamingos.
bear.
We're flamingos,
right? We don't want to have to bear the cost of discipline to be able to better ourselves.
And with that said,
too grown.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell your mom, tell your dad,
tell your dog,
everybody.
To everybody.
Even dogs can listen to it.
Follow the Two Grown Instagram page and tag your travel buddies